The interior plains are located in central western Canada. The interior plains cover the following provinces: a little of the Yukon, the Northwest Territories, a small part of British Columbia, Alberta, Saskatchewan, and Manitoba. The interior plains sit in between the Canadian Shield and the Cordillera Mountains. The interior plains were formed as soils which were carried from the Canadian Shield. The deposits formed layers of sedimentary rock, which then became large areas of flat land, rolling hills, and flat valleys.
The interior plains has long, cold winters and short, hot summers. Winters in the interior plains are able to go as low as negative 30 degrees Celsius and summers that reach above 30 degrees Celsius. The average temperature averages out to around negative 2.46 to 2.6 degrees Celsius in the south and negative 9.34 to negative 2.46 degrees Celsius in the north. The precipitation in the interior plains is averaged around 300 milliliters and 500 milliliters. The driest areas in the southwest get an average of 271 days a year with no precipitation. The region has many interesting landforms. Some of the landforms found in the region are hills, escarpment, low mountains, forest, wide river valleys, sand dunes, and prairie grass. The landscape of the interior plains region can be described as mainly flat with prairie grasslands.
In the interior plains, many things affected the way humans interacted and lived in the environment. Being a very flat land, growing crops was never an issue. As shown by the dark green area covered in the map, it demonstrates how many crops actually came from the interior plains. Crops came from here more than anywhere in Canada. This means that the people who lived there adapted to the environment to grow crops. Also, showing by the annual mean temperature, it averaged at below zero throughout the interior plains. However, the crops still grow even with such a low temperature. The interior plains has large means of transportation to and from it. Shown by the blue line in the map, it had the first major railroad in Canada. As time progressed, more and more railroads were built, most of which revolved around Alberta. Also, most early airports were placed up throughout the interior plains, shown by the map. However, in terms of median household income, the interior plains had the lowest amount in Canada. It shows that many people moved to and from the interior plains, but not many people settled and stayed there for very long periods of time.
The largest and most important economy of the interior plains is in the province of Alberta. Prior to the 1950s, Alberta was a primarily agricultural-based economy. The economy was based on the export of wheat, beef, and a few other commodities. The health of the economy was closely bound up with the price of wheat. In 1947, a major oil field was discovered near Edmonton. It was not the first petroleum find in Alberta, but it was large enough to significantly alter the economy of the province. Since that time, Alberta's economic fortunes have largely tracked the price of oil, and increasingly natural gas prices. When oil prices spiked during the 1967 oil embargo, 1973 oil crisis, and 1979 energy crisis, Alberta's economy boomed. However, during the 1980s oil glut, Alberta's economy suffered. Alberta boomed once again during the 2003 to 2008 oil price spike. In July 2008, the price of oil peaked and began to decline, and Alberta's economy soon followed suit, with unemployment doubling within a year. By 2012, despite natural gas prices at a 10-year low and a higher Canadian dollar, oil prices had recovered enough to restart economic growth. The spin-offs from petroleum have allowed Alberta to develop many other industries. Oil patch-related manufacturing is an obvious example, but other financial services and government services have also benefited from oil money. A comparison of the development of Alberta's less oil and gas-endowed neighbors, Saskatchewan and Manitoba, reveals the role petroleum has played. Alberta was once the smallest of the three prairie provinces by population in the early 20th century, but by 2009, Alberta's population was 3,632,483, approximately 3 times as much as either Saskatchewan or Manitoba. Looking at the interior plains as a whole, agriculture is a primary industry. The prairie provinces make up about 4/5 of Canada's cropland. The long summer days and adequate precipitation combine to provide excellent crop yield. The crops include wheat, barley, canola, brassica oats, and cattle and sheep ranching. Mining also provides jobs in the southern half of the plains.
There have been people living in interior plains for many years. Over the years, people have made a big impact on the environment and the resources in this area. For resources, the map shows the areas where mining has taken place. Many places all over the interior plains have mining sites that produce fossil fuels, such as oil and gas, and resources such as coal. Also, there are coal and natural gas burning power plants scattered throughout the interior plains, showing how far people have progressed.
The building of the Canadian Pacific Railway began in 1881. The railway was good for the settlers because it helped bring many of them to the prairies and ease the transition. It allowed the NWMP to move quickly in times of trouble, and most importantly, settlers were able to ship their produce. Commercial farming became viable in the area once the grain trade had developed technologies to handle the bulk export of grain, especially hopper cars and grain elevators. Oil and gas exports have been possible because of increasing pipeline technologies. There is still lots of room for people to grow and progress in the interior plains. Farms will continue to grow with all the free space that is still available throughout the region. However, the climate over time could change and could wreck the natural progression of the interior plains. But for now, the interior plains will remain a source for trading farm grown goods to the people of Canada.